Good morning, everyone. Thank you all very much. Thank you all for joining. It's always a pleasure to do a webinar with you all the old faces, new faces, and it's always exciting. We're doing SACE 300 for a change, promoting the product that needs a bit of promoting. And Peresoft, we're going to promote our two major enhancements today, okay, which is really the two biggest changes we've made to EFT and RecX in many years. And they what we call them is a true host-to-host EFT and RecXpress, and also a proper bank feed for RecXpress itself. It's not like the normal bank feeds, but it is definitely, I believe, the way to go. And also, it's going to be available, I reckon, across all banks normally sooner than actually doing a bank feed via login. Okay, so before I start, I'm just going to say that what we do is we are using a technology that all banks provide, which is using an FTP or an SFTP server technology. Okay, and that technology is set up by the banks. I believe it's the way to go. I believe, we've been using it now for the last month or 2 or 3 months. We're testing it, making sure it works. We've installed it at 1 or 2 clients that are using it as well. And it's seamless, it's easy, it's a one-time setup. It's just definitely a very powerful feature. I've always been aiming to get our product to work with the banks. Before, we used to have to import the file manually ourselves, both export and import. Either an EFT batch, we'd export and import it into the banks, using a bank login. And also with RecX, we would export it from the bank, okay, online banking, and import it manually. We removed both of those completely from the system, so you don't do any of that anymore, which is a huge advantage for the future, because now you just basically post the batches in Cashbook, and off it goes to the bank, does it automatically, and the batch gets posted with all the correct information the bank has processed on the EFT side. And on the RecX side, you would just retrieve the transactions automatically. You just press one button and you can retrieve unlimited banks, etc. Let me get going and show you how they work. We're going to try and do a live demo after each of the presentations to show you how easy it is live. So I've got Karita and Wayne standing by, hopefully to click a button and all works nice and smoothly. Okay, so the first one we're going to start is EFTXpress. I've given it like a little extra name called EFT Direct, because the way the system works is very, very, very nice. It's chalk and cheese to the way we are doing it currently, and this is definitely, I would implement this at all your clients. It costs nothing extra. It comes with a system. All you've got to do is get the information from the bank as to what their IP address is, etc. And off you go. It's really a one-time setup. So what happens is, just to give you an idea of the flow of the product, what you do is you create a batch in Cashbook, okay, which is nice and easy. You know how to do that already. You then post the batch, and it creates an EFT batch, which it then sends up, okay, to the EFT site that you've set up. It could be a folder on your EFT on your server, or it could be an actual folder on the bank server. That depends on the bank itself. Can give you the choice. Some banks give you one choice, their folder only, or they say you can either have your own folder or their folder. Okay, once you've posted that file into that folder, okay, the bank takes over from there. It retrieves the file automatically, and then obviously it then goes into the queue, and then they post the batch on their side. Obviously paying the miscellaneous, the vendors, and all the creditors that have to be paid. And then what it does is it then sends back to the SFTP folder a response file that tells the program if the file has been processed correctly on their side. Cashbook will provisionally post that batch and wait for that file to be returned, and automatically then, either automatically or you can then post it at a later date. Okay, and it automatically picks up retrieve the response file. It then works out which records which entries were posted to the mainframe or posted to the bank, and any of them that were rejected due to wrong bank account numbers, wrong branch codes, etc. And creates an error batch with those entries that have not been posted. Okay, all of this is seamless. So the only thing you're doing here as a user is to create the batch, post the batch, and then post for the response file. The rest is done by the bank, and that's the beauty of the system. So what happens here is anybody can enter batches if necessary. We've got security for Cashbook. They don't need to have any bank information given to them, any login information, nothing. It's all done in the background. Okay. Now this is the bank, the EFT bank. So what you do is you set up your bank for the EFT system, okay, which is what you're doing currently, excepting you've got an extra tab now, which allows you to set up the SFTP side. And the SFTP side is a two-factor, single factor. Again, you would ask the bank what they use, and then we cover all the different types of securities that they use. Okay, you can then set up the SFTP on your side using, I think it's Reddit. What's it called, Wayne? The program that you use on our side. Just to quickly take
our
your
test. Our test server is Rebex SFTP
Rebex.
Guru.
Yes, okay. So what you do, it's a very simple setup. I mean, Wayne can show it to you in a few minutes just by loading it very quickly and just giving you a quick overview of it. And that sets up your SFTP for you. You then send the bank the information. They then whitelist your IP address, and that setup is once off. Okay, so you set up once. It's very easy to do. We've got quite good documentation on it as well. You press F1, and as a keyword on that gets set up already. Some good help files for you to help you understand how it works. And you can also ask us whatever you need to ask, and we'll quite happily help you. If you want 5 minutes with us on a web, just to go through it yourselves when you do the one or two of your first clients, we're happy to go on that and help you set it up as well. Okay, so if you can look at quickly what we give you here, we give you the host, we give you the user, the password, the key that you're going to give the bank, okay, and then you're going to tell it where to put the files, okay, into the different paths. Okay, in this case we've got what we call an out, which is where we put the fold, where we put the file, and then we've got an in, where they send back the response file. There's some fancy words here. For example, penny test. When you set up the SFTP, you might want to do a penny test. We call it a penny test because you normally create a 1 cent in a batch or 2 cents, and you post those as live batches and to see if they work correctly. Okay, we obviously recommend that before you start doing your big batches. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff going around in the background to cover duplicate checks, not allowing you to post the same batch twice. When you do a backup and restore, we pick up the next batch number, know that you've done a restore, and then don't want you to post the batch again. So we've made sure that it's pretty tight on a security level and the double posting level. We don't want to have mistakes, because you can imagine posting a batch and then you pay the credits twice by mistake. We made provision for that to prevent that happening. On the right-hand side here, you can see we've got what we call a response. And if the response file doesn't come back in a certain amount of time, we allow you to override the provisional post and post the batch without a response file. This should never happen, because the bank should always send a response file. And if they didn't, it's normally crashed on their side, not our side. So we do allow you to override it. So just when you do that, just tell the client they shouldn't be doing it, but they can if they really, really have to. Okay, we also allow you to have multiple EFT batches that you've posted, and then you also allow to switch that on. Otherwise, it does one batch at a time. I like one batch at a time to know that it's been posted correctly, and of course, it does reduce your bank balance. So you want to make sure it's also got the correct balance there before you post your next batch. And lastly, we have what we call an auto post timer, and the auto post allows the program to wait for the batch to get the response file. So what happens is it will sit there waiting for the response file, and once it gets the response file, will automatically post the provisionally posted batch. Okay, this is a once-off setup. You can see there's a test button. So you'll set it up, you'll test it, you'll then do your penny test, and that's it. That's the end of it. You don't have to come back here, and hopefully it'll run for years like this without you having to change anything. You might want to have to change something when you maybe do a different server or a different folder, but this is a once-off, and you never have to log in again to your bank. This is done, and I've been using it now with Murty for the last 3 months or whatever. We're posting batches. She was a bit nervous at the beginning because it was so easy. She's now doesn't wait for me anymore. She posts the batch, gives back. It sends a file back to her now from the bank with all the proof of payments as well, which is what the bank does when you do this. Okay, so quickly, just to show you, okay, what you're doing here is, okay, you set up your miscellaneous vendor information. We have added a few features to our miscellaneous information setup. So if you set up a miscellaneous code and you use it in the batch and you change the miscellaneous code, you can then automatically send that change to the batch when you change the code in the actual miscellaneous code setup that we've added, as opposed to refreshing the batch. Okay, we've also added another way where you set up a miscellaneous code on the fly, and you can then say to it, add that miscellaneous code permanently as a beneficiary into your miscellaneous code. Those are two features we've added as well for the EFT to make it easier for you to process the miscellaneous beneficiaries, etc. And they obviously come from the AP as well, so that's pretty tight. Okay, and on the left there, I'll just show you the batch entry with the EFT on-off that you can create the batch. That's pretty much pretty standard. You've seen that before in the normal EFT. So nothing's really changed here. The only thing that's changed is that you don't have to worry about exporting it anymore. You don't have to worry about importing it anymore, etc. And Karita's going to show you a quick live demo in a minute. Okay, you can see there's the EFT batch sitting, and this is the batch you'll be posting. Okay, right. Just before we go to Karita's live demo, she can't wait to do this. I'm sure she's absolutely calm as a cucumber, but I'm sure she'll be excited to show how it works. Okay, just to show you, we've got 4 of the main banks. We've got 2 of them already online. Standard Bank and Nedbank are available today. We're busy with ABSA, which should be available in the next week or 2. And FNB, I think, will be another week or 2 or 3 away from you. Those are the 4 main banks that we've got set up already, or will be setting up in the next month. If you have any other banks you want to do, they all use a very similar technology, so it shouldn't be a difficult thing for us to set up for you and your client. For example, if from Ghana, from Swaziland, whatever, they're all doing this. I know we've got a guy from Malawi that they're doing it now, and they want us to set up theirs for them. So we should have all the banks. Now, just to give an idea of the benefit here quickly, and I'll give you a list of all the benefits in a minute, but there's one thing that is a benefit on the one bank, okay? And that is when you process using this new system, okay, the bank charges are almost half. So if you've got a client that process 1,000 EFT checks, EFT payments, and they're 7 rand to payment, you're looking at a cutting of their bank charges of almost 30,000 rand, which can be hugely beneficial to the client. So this is really definitely worth going for with the banks. Okay, so let's just quickly summarize that. You've got the 4 banks, you want new banks, we're quite keen to get them interfaced. Right, this is your turn, Karita, just to quickly show them how simple it is. So good luck.
Okay.
You want to just take over the screen, show your screen quickly. Okay, yeah. Karita set up a whole system here for you. There we go. I can see your screen. Can everybody else see your screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to post this batch, and you will see
before
it will
you
go.
Post it, I'll just.
Okay.
Sorry. Just to give you a brief overview, you've got on the left, you've got the out file, the out folder, and on the right, you've got the in folder. Okay, go for it, Karita. You can now take that. Right?
Okay.
Okay, so Karita's not posting the batch. I just didn't want to talk spoke over you. Sorry, Karita. You can see
okay. So here you can see. Yeah. So here you can see the files gone into the out folder, and we'll wait for the bank to fetch it, which could be a few minutes. So Bob, if you want to carry on.
It's that simple.
Talking, we can wait. Yeah. Okay, and we've got a time, and here goes the timer. I've set it for 1 minute retry and 10 maximum tries.
Okay, so what the timer does, it will keep looking for the response file. Okay, I see we've got a question from CISA. I'm still waiting for over 6 years for a meeting with the bank.
Hopefully it'll happen soon.
I'm not meant to laugh, CISA, because it must be very frustrating. And why are they so slow? Okay, can you maybe tell us? Do you have any idea? Okay, while we wait for CISA, I must just quickly go back to showing my screen.
Aubrey also has a question. He says, do you need a fixed IP, or would it work on clients that have a dynamic IP?
That would be up to the bank. We normally use a fixed IP with the bank, and the reason is because if you have a dynamic IP, they have to whitelist your IP. They have to actually whitelist it, so they can't just keep white. No, so I would say no. You've got to have a fixed IP for this to work properly. If I don't know why you would have a dynamic IP, because I mean we have pretty standard fixed. There is of course the DNS server setup you can make to make it fixed, but again it's up to the bank, it's not up to us. Okay, I need to share my screen and just.
Okay, because the bank hasn't taken it yet, so.
You will have to share it. I can't share it for you.
Okay, so I'm about to go out of the imaging here. Share it again. Right. So
there we go.
So, yeah, okay. So the live demo is still running. You know, talking about the fixed IP, you know, if the bank has the SFTP server on their side, I would assume that you would have to just log on to their IP. Wayne, can you maybe clarify this a bit and maybe answer Aubrey?
Yeah, that's correct. If the SFTP server is hosted on the bank side, it will always be a fixed IP that won't need. We would connect from multiple dynamic IPs. I mean, I've tested that myself. But if the client is hosting the SFTP server on their side, then you're correct. Every time that IP changes, if it was dynamic, the bank would need to re-implement it and whitelist it. And we've seen already with the banks we've done, that can take anywhere between 2 and 5 days just to whitelist an IP address. So that wouldn't work, and I don't think the banks would allow it.
But most banks, all banks so far, do offer both, or only offer theirs. So Standard Bank, for example, only offer their SFTP side. So you wouldn't even have it on yours. Nedbank offer both. I would say ABSA would offer theirs as well. And I'm sure FNB offer both. So I'm sure you can use their SFTP folder and it makes no difference. Cost-wise or setup-wise, am I right, Wayne?
Absolutely, and in fact, it's much easier. You don't need to set up the SFTP at all. All you do is enter the right credentials in that EFTXpress Bank's SFTP tab with the right IP address, the right key, password, and that's once off, and you connect, and the bank maintains its own SFTP server for you.
Correct, and that is over here. You would set up, just to go back here, you would set up the correct SFTP information once, and it'll be all their folder information. The response files and directories is all set up on their side or our side? It's on our side, eh?
Yeah, and the only requirement here from the client is to generate the keys, and they would give a public key to the bank, and the bank would whitelist and set it up on their side, and they would have the private key on the client side.
Cool. We're still waiting for the response file crew to open. More than 10 attempts might be needed there, but I'll talk to you about it.
Okay, yeah, it's still.
Okay, so here are the main benefits, a summary of the main benefits. And I will tell you right now, we are using it only. It's the new system. We don't even bother going onto the internet anymore to post any payments. Because why? I don't have to give anybody any login information. If Murty goes on leave, Samantha can do it without having to worry about the bank interface or the bank online banking as well. Okay, so quickly, main benefits. Real-time processing. You post the batch, it does it in real time, okay? One-time setup, you only set it up once, okay? It's direct Cashbook bank integration, so you don't have to worry. It's Cashbook, you don't have to go and use another system at all. It's purely from Cashbook, okay? The only security you need is the Cashbook security, so you don't have to get login information for the client, for the user, or anything specific. Okay, so it's very secure on that level. No rules required. So what happens is when you enter the information into your Cashbook, you've done the allocation, you've done the tax requirements. You don't have to set up a rule in RecXpress now to process it because it's already been processed to the correct bank account, etc. Saves you a lot of time. Okay. The bank feedback is immediate, okay? Well, when I say immediate, it can take a minute or two when you are looking for the response file, but that doesn't matter. It's still within 5 minutes, okay? And it comes back with a response file, okay? Standard SFTP files. There's one file we use, one import. So when you sell the Standard Bank or the Nedbank version, you don't have to worry about what format to use. The format's available. It's been written for that particular bank already, and it's the same format across all of the branches of that bank. So you don't have to worry, do you have the SFTP format available, etc. Okay, no new formats needed. Okay, it's available with all the banks we've dealt with so far do have this available. It's a matter of the client signing up the right documentation. If it's a brand new bank, they will give us the information and we'll have it quickly interface. It's very quick when we know exactly what the file layout is. Okay, because it's through cashbook batch entry, there's no learning curve. There's nothing that the dealer, the client has to learn. They post the batch, and it goes to provisional, and then they repost and it picks up the response file. Okay, and if it's with AP integration, we'll do direct AP payments, pick them up from AP if necessary, and also do the same processing using EFT. So the integration with AP, with the bank, all seamless. And really the only thing you're doing now, and you don't even have to worry about anything else, is to enter the batch in Cashbook, and off it goes and does the right work for you. Okay. Before I go into the next part of our demo, has anybody else got more questions? Okay, nothing. Okay, that just shows you how simple it is. Now, let me just tell you one thing.
Sorry, Sally's put her hand up.
Yes, Sally.
I have several clients where once the batch is uploaded into the bank, two people have to then authorize the payments. Would this bypass that authorization by the CEO and the whoever?
No. What we have a client that's done exactly that. What happens is we upload the batch, then obviously they do their own thing by logging into their bank. We said to them, do you want us to do it for you? They said, no, we like doing it the way we are, because the CFOs or whatever can go in their own time and authorize it. When they've authorized it, it then posts the batch on the bank side and sends a response file. So it will sit there waiting, and we will sit waiting as well. But that was asked the class, so do you want us to do it from our side? They said, no. The CFO likes to log in on his online banking and do it himself. So that will then sit in suspense until they've authorized it.
Okay,
so
great.
That's how that would work. Okay, and they prefer that because, like I said, the CFO might do it during lunch. So what they'll do is they'll post their batches in the morning, and when he logs into the bank, he'll see a list of what he needs to authorize, looks at it, happy with it, authorizes it, and then it automatically will post on their side, send the response file, and then they can then pick up all these batches in a range, post them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and get the response files.
Yeah,
okay.
They seem to pick and choose what they want to pay when out of the batches. So
correct. That's up to them to choose, and I think that's a good
great.
way of doing it.
Thanks.
Great.
Okay, we have another question. Michael Stewart.
Yeah.
He says, do you support Netcash?
Do we support Netcash? If Netcash supports this system, we will support them. Okay. We support any bank that supports SFTP, and I think 99% of the banks do, and I think Netcash does, as far as I remember correctly. In fact, Netcash, the only thing with Netcash is it doesn't send response files to the user, I think. I don't want to mention client names, but I think we took the client off Netcash to use this system.
Correct.
Okay. Correct, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we do support the Netcash system if they have an SFTP server. Okay, but ours is a bit more advanced than other banks. But that we can discuss in a separate issue, Mike, if you want to. Okay. To be honest with you, I've looked around at other SFTP, other EFT systems, and none of them, and as far as I could say, I really mean this, because we can create error batches in cache in say 300, because we can provisionally post the batch. I found no other system that could do that. They either sent the file to the bank, and then if the bank gave them a response file, they had to manually go through the response file, pick up what was rejected, and then reverse those entries, or if they'd been posted into their system, and repost them. That is something that is unique to our system. We do that for you. We create the error batch for you. You can then change the beneficiary information that didn't work, because we give you a nice error report showing you all the different things that were rejected. And then you can reprocess the batch without re-entering anything. And that is unique to Peresoft's EFT, as far as I could tell. I never saw any other system anywhere doing that. So that is what I thought was a very nice extra bit that we do. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's a bit of a sales boost there for us. So we're very excited with this new system. Once again, cutting edge technology, as they say. Right, okay, so which brings us to the second phase. So when we learn to do the EFT, we then realize we can do the same thing with RecXpress. Okay, we tried doing bank feeds, and what we found with the bank feed where you log in and get the bank transactions was that it didn't give us the feed we wanted. It lacked certain information like transaction codes. Because the bank feeds that the people were using out there was a little bit of a hack. It wasn't a great bank feed. And also the banks weren't that advanced with all their bank feeds. They missed out information. So we said to the bank, well, do you also have an SFTP ability for your bank's statements? And they said yes. They will quite happily send a file every night to the client, and the client can then, or into their SFTP folder that the client set up, and then the product, our Cashbook or RecXpress, can then retrieve that file from the folder automatically for you. When I say automatically, we're doing at the moment, you only press one button to do it in the morning, okay, which is very simple. I've even got old Samantha doing that now. She didn't even know how to work Cashbook, but she's learned to read her notes and click the right button, and she retrieves the information from the bank. And it's just done automatically now. So let's just go through quickly how that works. Again, you set up your SFTP the same way you set up EFT, excepting this time it's now to retrieve a file from the bank. I'm not going to go into detail, but just to say briefly, it goes into a folder. Okay, again, it's a once-off setup. Okay, you run your test, you do the connection, etc., and it retrieves the information for you. Okay, I'm not going to go into more detail than that, because again, you could use the program that Wayne mentioned, set it all up very simply. Again, we'll help you on your first 1 or 2 sites. And again, most banks, I haven't heard of any bank that doesn't give you this service. Okay, so what it does is that when it retrieves the file, it obviously retrieves the file into what we call a temporary area. And that temporary area is kept here. You can see on the right-hand side, the import into RecX. The temporary area sits there until you're ready to do your month end. So it doesn't go into RecXpress until you're ready to release it. And when you do, it will then move it into RecXpress using a previous statement date and a current processing date at the top. You can see there. And okay, from this over here. So what you do is you'd have all the statements sitting here waiting. And then when you want to do your month end, you could then say retrieve from the X date to Y date, and it'll then put it into RecXpress for you. So this is very useful because remember, we don't always close our months on the month. We normally only close our month, especially at year end. We normally only close our Cashbook month a week into the new month. Okay, but the statements are being downloaded every day. So there's got to be like a temporary folder area where you would keep the information. And then when you're ready to process your month, you'll then put in the date range, it goes into RecXpress, does all the matching, etc. Okay, so once we did this, okay, which is again a very seamless integration, okay, we then realized, okay, so just by the way, these are all the files that have been sent by my bank to me, and you can see not only have I got the bank's files, but some of my own stuff is in here as well. For example, my call accounts, they didn't do call accounts. So I put in my own call account file here. You can see here, and you can also see I've got an APSA, which didn't have the file download either. And also my Visa. You can see I put Visa down here. And they can all work in the same manner as the other files, and also with the different formats you want to use. Okay, these fancy names are actually from the bank folder themselves. Okay, a bank from the bank themselves. Okay, so you can mix up your own with theirs and then do the same process in RecXpress, controlling it monthly. Now, when we did this, we realized that most people don't have one bank account. They have multiple bank accounts. So what we did was we thought, let's put this all RecXpress in a different way. So what we've done is we've given you a multiple bank feature. So what this does now is if you've got 10 banks, you can say to it with the bottom button here, import retrieve, statement only, yes or no. So if you say statement only, it puts the files only into the temporary file, waiting for you then to process the month at a different date. Okay, so you can click this, and every morning it will retrieve all the bank's statements for you in one go. The point of this is to speed up the process incredibly and to only go into one area to retrieve the statements. So you don't have to go into each RecXpress form, each bank one at a time, and do the process. This will retrieve all the files all together in one go. So what you could do in the morning is you go have a cup of coffee, click the button, go have your coffee, and it's all done. Okay, again, I do this for Samantha. She does it herself. She then gets it to retrieve the statements, and then I've written a little report that looks at the temporary file and extracts the information she needs for the day only. Again, no bank interference, no logging in, absolutely disconnected from the bank. She doesn't need to know where the bank is, what the logins are, very secure and absolutely seamless. Okay. This multiple, I then took one, we took it, not me, it was actually Wayne and Carita. We said, okay, well, now that we're retrieving all the statements together, we can then allow them to put in their process dates over here. And what it'll do is when you do your month end, you can actually say what month from what date to what date, all at the same time. And then you can process all the banks together into their RecXpress files, and then go into each one, do the other if there's a few unmatched rules. Again, all together. So there's no separation of time. It's much quicker because you just click one button to renumber, for example. It renumbers all the banks. Okay, once you've done the renumber, you can then hit the batch button. It creates batches for all the banks. So you don't have to go into each one individually. So I know most clients have at least 4 bank accounts, at least. So they'd have to go in the old days, which I call it just yesterday. The old days would be you'd go into the bank, do the unmatched, do the renumber, do the batch. Then you'd go out of that bank, go to the next bank, go out of that bank, next bank. That could take 2 hours. Okay. This way, it takes 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes. Okay. You can then say ready to post on automatically, hit the batch list, post the batches, and then you could post the RecXpress itself at the end all together and not individually, speeding up the process a hell of a lot more. Again, very, very seamless. Again, no user interference, etc. Okay. Okay, wait. Okay, let's just go back to the live demo. Clarita, have you got a response file yet?
Oh, okay. No. I stopped the timer. I'm just waiting for. I had an error with the references, so I just reposted. So I'm just waiting for the next batch to come back.
Okay, so what you did was you got an error in your posting.
Yeah, I had imported a batch and it was duplicate references. So dear. I'll just wait for it to come back.
Okay, cool. And Wayne, are you ready to show them how to do a retrieve quickly?
Yeah.
Cool. So you want to show your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so Wayne's going to just do a retrieve of multiple batches. We've created 10 banks, thanks to Natalie. So he will just do it automatically, just show you how it retrieves them. Right, go for it.
Okay, you don't want the statement only on. You want it the way it is now.
I want them to come straight in. I'm not going to worry about that now.
Okay, all right. So it's all set up just as Bob said. All the banks are set up. All the connectivity is set up. I'll just hit the import retrieve button. And here we hold our thumbs.
I'm holding my toes.
Natalie, no duplicate references, hey, Carita, no duplicate references.
Yeah, it's connecting to all the SFTP settings per bank. And remember, could be different banks, different settings, different servers.
Yeah, in this case, with this data, we have some local, we have some SFTP with key file, just to, give some variation. The only bank here, CTAC, which might take a little longer, is because it is all the sample data, just to give you, an idea of what it would do with our sample data.
Yeah, and what it also does is, which is very clever, it looks at the transactions. It checks the balances and it makes sure it doesn't retrieve the same transaction twice. So you won't get duplicates. Normally you wouldn't, because the bank statements come daily and they are sent by the bank, and we remove them from when they've been retrieved into an archive. But if you're doing it yourself, you might have a duplicate date overflow or something, and we make sure that the duplicate's not retrieved. We obviously have very good audit trails on this, error reports, all built in, and that you can print, and you can see exactly what was retrieved. You can say what was duplicated, etc. And you can choose it by status in the actual error reports. I haven't put a screenshot of that here, but you will find that actual report very simple to look at, allowing you to check exactly what went wrong or what didn't go wrong or what was done for the day or the week. Okay. You also have obviously that for EFT, gives you the list of errors, etc. All built in. Okay, so there you go, Wayne, all done.
So now we can renumber, batch create, batch list, etc. Go for it, Wayne. I'm just so happy that worked.
No, drive, well done. And also important here, you can see that it applies each of the bank's settings like match entry, match reference, match by amount, clear, etc. per bank. So it keeps all your RecXpress settings per bank.
Numbering each of them for you. Eight.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So far, so good, Nat.
Okay,
almost
how far
breathe.
do you want me to go? Batches?
Cool, you can batch create, yeah, you can do batches, post the batches, and even post the regex, Wayne.
It's amazing, it looks so simple, it's like watching Federer play tennis, it looks easy, but once you try and play it yourself, it's not simple. But we thought we could automate this easily. To be honest with you, it's taken us a year to get this right, and it's taken a lot of work to get the systems working perfectly. So automation is probably the most difficult part of development. To automate, you've got to make sure the errors are clear, what goes wrong, where it goes wrong. If it doesn't work, when do you stop the automation? Do you create an error there and then and stop it? You don't want to interrupt it. So the automation is very, very fancy. Okay, so we've got another question there.
Yeah. Hi, Bobby. If you renumber and batch from this screen, how do you know which entries are new and does not have a rule set up? So you can go straight, if you double click on the bank, it will open the RecXpress import screen, and you can go into each entry. Wayne, maybe you can show.
Yeah, the whole point of this was, okay, so what happened was, hold on, let me just say something here.
CTAC,
let me explain. Okay, let me explain something. The whole point of the multiple is that it's not, you've still got to go into each regex itself and check your other to make sure there's a rule for it. And you normally would go and check the VAT and to make sure everything's right. The point was, I didn't want them to have to go in and out when they finished doing that and checked everything. I wanted to then be one tick for everything. So that was the whole point of the, excuse me, I can see my phone. That was the whole point of the multiple. You still would want to go into each bank and make sure that the rules have been applied correctly. And you still want to go in and make sure that the tax is correct for some transactions. But once you've done that, you go into each one simultaneously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can do it in a sequence. But the whole point is, once you've done that, you don't want to go back in and renumber, batch, renumber, batch. You want to do it all together so you don't forget anything. And that's what the multiple is really for. You still have to check the records. I mean, let's be honest, there's always going to be new rules. There's always going to be new things coming through the bank. Remember, there's going to be less rules to make because your EFT is going to be already processed. And a lot of the banks I bring in myself have no entries, and that generates all of them for myself. For example, my call account. I don't enter transactions into my call account. I import the bank statement and it creates all the transactions for me. Okay, and it's obviously got rules already set up every, from months of using it. There's no other. They're all set up with the correct predefined definition, predefined descriptions. Again, with my Visa, 99% of my visa has got predefined rules. Just there's a few new other visa entries that I normally go check. But the biggest benefit here with this multiple import is the statement of the visa runs from the 25th of the month to the 24th of the next month. So when I do this now, I just copy the file straight into the folder, and it automatically puts the dates into the temporary, and then I can retrieve from the 1st until the 31st. And it does an automatic merge for me. And also when next month comes along and I copy the dates in, it rejects any duplicates. So I don't have problems with duplicates. So that also is a huge benefit for the visa. Okay, so all the banks that are downloaded are seamless. You don't have to worry because they come in every day, and you keep them in a temporary area until you're ready to process them. There should never be a duplicate in that place. Okay. Are you happy with that, Derek? Does that sound better?
Yeah. Yes, he says that explains it better. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. The more you use it, the more you get used to it, and the more you understand how it works, and the easier it becomes. It becomes so easy that with poor Murty, I eventually said to Murty, I'm going to take away when you really, well, you finished, almost finished there. Are you finished, Wayne? I'm just going to go to the next step, yeah?
Yeah, I'm finished. Can I close?
You can close. I'm going to just ask Karita now. Have you got the response file?
No, sorry, the bank's very slow.
Okay, because it's a test environment. Let me be honest with you, your test environment's very slow. It doesn't take priority. But when I do my processing on the same bank, it literally comes within 2 minutes. Murty, how quick was yours this morning?
It was a few seconds.
And then the bank batch was there.
Then, correct.
Okay. Just by the way, what we also do is when you post a batch in EFT, it goes into a provisional post status, and we add that to the, what's it called, Wayne? The scheduler. That's right. Hey?
Yeah,
when you go in, it will remind you there's a batch waiting to be posted that you can post if you haven't got the timer on. Okay. We haven't done the timer yet for the web due to restrictions about the web. So normally you would be able to then use your scheduler to then have a look and see what's outstanding still. Okay, cool. So sadly enough, our response file isn't available yet. So let me go to the next stage.
You can, if you want, you can finish the post or, oh, that's fine.
Now I'm just gonna go back to my screen. Here we go. Demo. Go for it. Okay, so the live demo for the RecXpress has been done. You can see it's very nice. Once you've done the matching, once you've done the other, Wayne could then renumber, create batch, post batch, and post RecXpress, all in one process. So that's really nice when you've got more than even one bank, I find. Very nice. So what I did was, because we're importing the bank statement from the bank, and because we actually don't even care about the bank balance anymore, we've added 2 new securities to the bank security, and that is to hide the balances from your operators, from your punch operators or whoever's using RecXpress, so it's a bit more personal. You don't have to show your bank balances because it's automatically going to balance. It's never not going to balance because you are retrieving the transactions from the statements that the bank has sent you, and you don't miss anything. So Murty didn't like that. Hey, Murty, that upset you, but you're over it now, right?
Correct.
Okay. Once again, I'll move my phone from the camera. Okay, so therefore the show bank balance in bank and show bank balance in RecXpress, if you switch them off, no bank balances are displayed at all for that particular user. Right, just to summarize, automatically retrieves the bank statements, drill down into retrieve bank statements before processing. That's where you can do the other, and you can do the actual tax checking, etc. You can process all the banks together, which is incredibly good for not missing a step, especially when you come to the end and you've posted all your batches. You don't want to then go back into each bank and post. You can just hit one post button, post all the banks. A pleasure. Okay, it also prevents duplicate statements and transaction retrieval by checking the balances, checking the transactions. Okay, removes complete any interface with the bank with the user. Nobody needs to know where the bank is, what bank is, how to log in, going to their browser to log into online banking. It removes that completely from your operators and from the users. excuse me, and then also retrieves new bank statements before closing the previous month, puts it into provisional area that you can then process when you're ready to close the month. Okay, this type of interface we've been using at Peresoft now for 2 months or whatever, and it's absolutely wonderful. I can't lie to you. It's taken away, we've almost removed the cash book from anything. It's become a sideline system, if you know what I mean. We have other priorities to do in our business, okay, and therefore the cash book now has gone literally in the last 10 years from a 2-week process to a 4-hour process, and now to literally a half-an-hour process. And that's what we've done in 10 years. And I think that's an incredible achievement by my developers, by what they've done, and well done, guys. I think we've almost come to the end of what we can do with our product, and I think that's an amazing achievement, to be honest with you. Biased, I can't help it, though. I think it's lovely. I love it.
Just to
Beer. Yes.
Yeah, Beer's asking, do you have a release date for version 2024 yet?
We're hoping to release it before the end of this week. Okay, we've got no more. We had one small issue with the website, but everything else is finished and done. So we're going to put it onto the web tomorrow. We're going to generate the activation codes tomorrow and Thursday. So we should we'll do the demos first, and then you can get your demos installed, and then we're going to do the client so definitely before the end of this week it will be released. Okay, now I did forget to mention something, and this is very important. Because of these new features, and because I think they're wonderful, I think they really are. They're going to take your cash book at your client to a different level. You're going to have a client that's happy. They don't have to worry about their cash book so much anymore. How do I import? When do I import? Don't want to duplicate. All that stuff's been removed. So we've decided we're not going to just support 2024 with this new version. We're going to recompile it for 23 and 22, and we might go back further. But that'll be the first release. So our release is going to be compatible with 2022, 2023, and 2024, and giving the client all those features for all 3 versions, which is going to be great for the client. Don't have to upgrade. They can just get the product, stick it in, off it goes, and they're going to get all these new features for the EFT, which is a lovely new features, and of course RecX, which is the ultimate bank feed as far as I'm concerned. Excellent. Okay.
Susan is asking. Yes. She says, is there a demo available for our client?
A demo, as in a live demo? Well, we can give them yours, and Natalie, your data, and use that for the live demo. So yes, we will set that up for you, and we'll have that ready before the end of the week as well for you to download, and you can then use that. Plus, we can give you this presentation to use with the client as well. So yes, we will have it ready. We will use that for our sample data as well. I don't know if you've noticed, but our sample data that we've given previously has all got batches and everything already available for these demos. But we'll add Natalie's new files that she's using here, and if you want to, be welcome to give us a shot, anybody, and say, listen, can you please just give us an hour, half an hour together? We'd love to go through it with you again, but quietly on our own with our consultants. And Natalie and Azaki, we can do that with you. Am I right, Natalie? You've learned a lot by doing these files, and we'll happily give you half an hour, 40 minutes. We will be setting up more training. If you want to do the SFTP again, just give us a shot. We're happy to do it individually. We'll quite happy to do it for you. Set up a time, set up a a Teams meeting with you, and go through it with you and your consultants individually or whatever. We prefer doing that to training because obviously we're doing it in your time and it's better for you to then concentrate, ask questions, and be more personal with us. But we welcome you anytime for this. The first client we set up with one of the dealers was this client. We helped them set up the SFTP. We even changed a few things for them, and we were happy to work with the client. We obviously do charge when it comes to certain individual things that we don't cover, but we can happily give the client a quote. And we're also working with new technology because of the SFTP. We're also working with a new pay-as-you-go system, where people will be posting transactions and the bank will update that file every half an hour or 15 minutes. And we will then fetch that file for the client and process online payments for them. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're doing now with this new system. But please, if you want a quick half an hour, 40 minutes, how to do the SFTP, please just drop a line. We'll set up a time for you and we'll happily give it to you. Okay, remember we come into Christmas, so we won't all be available from the 7th onwards. So we're all going to take a break. So maybe if you want to get going now, give us a shout. We've also got it in beta until the end of the week. So if you want to just do a beta version, just give us a shout. We'll send it to you. We'll just sign a certain form saying that if you mess up, not our problem, which is obvious. Okay, but we're happy to give you a beta until we release as well. So go for it, everybody. We're available. You just have to give us a shout, and we'd love to help you as much as possible. Like I said, let me just finish again. We're going to go back as 3 versions. We might go back further, but I think 3 versions is going to be enough because most of the people have gone to 2022 minimum. Okay, so go for it. And really, this is the greatest technology I think it's the final step to total cashbook integration, total bank integration, and seamless technology, and nothing legacy about this product. It is super advanced. And thank you, my programmers and my other staff, to help create it for me. I'm over the moon.
We have a file.
We have a file.
We have a file.
Quickly,
Should I
Karita,
share my
show us
screen
your
quickly?
Yeah.
It has posted, but I
Okay,
can
but
still
we can't
just
see your screen. So
you
just
see
show
it
us your
now?
screen. So we got a response file, everybody. So don't just
Yep.
process it. I want to show them the response file.
Oh,
You can't
it
see your
has already
screen yet.
processed. Oh, you can't see my screen yet.
Karita.
Okay.
Okay. Seamless again.
Can you see it?
No.
Well, the timer
Mhm.
ran out, and so okay. Oh, you can't. Okay.
We can't see your screen.
Okay.
You see, Karita was too efficient, everybody. Just too efficient. It's all gone already. So just show them the batch. At least you can just show the batch.
Okay. So I just and this is the response file that we received from the bank. I can just show you that. That's what we read to see if there are any errors. And here you can see I just had 3 transactions. They were all accepted. The batch was accepted, and
Brilliant.
it's posted successfully.
Brilliant.
And so previously, when it didn't post successfully, Karita, I mean, important to say that we handled that. We picked up the invalid references, we created the error batch, you corrected that, and then you reposted it before it went through.
And you'll find all your errors in your posting journal error report.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Wayne, just one last thing. I think, do you want to just quickly show them the audit list in the RecXpress? Just quickly, and then we'll switch off. What's the time, please, Natalie?
Yeah, it's 10:57.
Perfect timing. So quickly.
Okay, I'm going there.
Just show them the audit trail and show them how they can choose what options in that audit trail. Okay, just to give you an idea. Thanks, Hetty. I really am. I must be honest, and I will say that, I'm very proud of this new product. It's been a great journey, and we thought it took 3 months. It took a year, but I'm very, very proud. And I think, when you're dealing with the bank feeds this way, it seems to be much more integrated and easy to do. You don't have to go and log into banks or anything. It just becomes available, which is a pleasure. And again, I will repeat, I didn't have to worry about Samantha having rights to the bank. She could just go in Cashbook and do the work from Cashbook itself. Okay. It detaches you from the bank in a way. Right, those are the options there, Wayne. I can't see it so lekker. Will you just go through quickly?
Yeah, so you can print, for those of you that can't see it, you can choose your order type list you want to print. So show everything, or any errors in process, no statement found, duplicate transactions, duplicate statement names, connection errors, fetched into temp successfully, moved into the recon successfully, and any other errors or messages created during a local import. I think, somebody asked just now, are we still able to do the old way of manually importing? And we can. It's all still there.
There was one button I didn't show you. If you can just go there quickly, Wayne. Just go into RecXpress for a second. There was one very important button that I didn't show you. Okay, because obviously there's a whole bunch of stuff we had to allow for, and one of them was if you do a batch and a retrieve or a temporary retrieve from the temp file. Can I go into regex itself quickly?
Yeah, it won't allow you into multiple and regex at the same time, obviously.
Of course, because of happening there.
I'm obviously connected on our server. It's a bit slow.
No problem.
Yeah, there we go.
So what happens is you go in, you retrieve your statements into your cash book, and then you see you've made a mistake. So before you even process anything, you can hit the restart. If you see next to this the fetch or retrieve import there's a button. If you hit that restart, it takes all the transactions that were processed into your RecXpress. Okay, you've already done the posting, Wayne, so it won't do anything now. And it will restart.
No,
he actually hasn't. He hasn't posted it.
Okay. And you say if you do this now, it will take all the transactions, put them back into your temp file, put back the dates in your statement automatically, and you can redo the whole recon again. Okay. You've got batches, that's what I'm saying. You won't be able to do it.
Okay,
so that
just delete, obviously, part of the process was creating batches. You can't restart if you've got batches waiting.
Exactly.
So if I delete the batches and then hit the restart, it'll do exactly what you said.
Brilliant. Okay. So that we've also allowed.
Yeah, let me just quickly fix this.
And lastly, I mean, there's so much going on here. We also create a log file in the background when you do your test connection. There's a log file you can look at, and it will tell you if it failed, why it failed, etc. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on that we can make sure things aren't processed twice. It's been a very interesting development. This has to be good. It's got to be seamless, automated, and simple. Great. Okay.
Good. Let me hit the restart now. There we go.
Done.
What did it do? No, it's taken out the recon. There was some of it part done, some part not done. But you can see here, looking individually at that statement that I imported, it's taken it out of the current recon and put it into
the
temporary mode where you cannot change your dates and fetch it again.
Brilliant.
For example, fetch a different range.
Cool. Right, final questions. Anybody else? I think we've reached the end.
Here we go. From the client server side, will they have to get any additional software or hardware for their security, like an SSL certificate or firewall?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. We didn't have a secure server or anything, and they just whitelist your SFTP, your IP address, and that's all they need to do. Am I right, Wayne?
Yeah, correct. So the client goes through a bit of an initial procedure with their bank to make sure all the securities are passed in terms of the private key and the whitelisting of the IP. But once that's done, it's finished.
Yeah, because it's an SFTP server that they're using. It's just got to whitelist your IP address. There's nothing you need to do on the client side at all, except you have an IP address that you must give them if it's yours, or get theirs from them and give them a key. There's really no extra work required. What's this internet? If they switch off the internet. Thanks. Okay. What was the other question?
Okay, I have a client that switches off internet on the Sage 300 Cloud app server. I guess this will be an issue if they want to use the new features.
That's a rhetorical question, right?
Yeah. Well, there's no question mark at the end. So
I'm teasing. No, what you can do is, you see, they download their statement. Okay, on the EFT side, obviously, you can't do anything unless the server's got a link to the internet. But what you could do is switch on the EFT, the internet at a certain time. Say, for example, from 3 to 4, process all your batches from 3 to 4. Okay, for EFT, and then switch it off again. Okay, that's the one thing you can do. On the other side, for the statements, what you could do is you could have another server that you've got that has no link to the client, that can be on the internet, and the client can retrieve from that server. They just use a different way of doing it. but the statement can go to that server in the evening. Now, they only download statements between 0 and 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. All the banks do that. They do not download their statements at any other time unless you want instant download, which is a separate issue. So you would then have, you could have it's another computer that is linked to the internet, separate from any of the workstations in your office, okay? And that would retrieve the statements for you. And then obviously our system can look at a local drive or its own SFTP local and go and retrieve it from an intranet. So it can be internal, and that would work absolutely fine. So you don't need to have the client's machine linked to the internet, but you do need to have one computer linked to the internet. But that could be a separate computer. Again, it's from 0 till 4 in the morning. Otherwise, you can disconnect it and leave it off. Okay. So let's repeat. EFT, you might want to do it at a certain time of the day. Remember, you have a cutoff point, just like with any bank. So you might want to do that from 8 a.m. to 9, whenever you do your batches. And the RecXpress, you want to do it from 0 in the evening till 4 a.m. in the morning. And again, can be any server. SFTP can also, the EFT can also be a different server. It doesn't have to be the client's, as long as the client can see that server. Okay. Just one more thing, to get this functionality from your bank, the client will get hold of their bank manager, or they'll fill in a form, and that form will give them some information. For example, how many errors do they allow in the EFT batch? When do they want the bank statements? Which banks have the downloadability? Because of course, not all bank statements can be downloaded. For example, Nedbank, I use Nedbank. They have the current account that you can download, and you can have your CFC account downloaded, but they don't do their call accounts, and they don't do their mortgage accounts, and they don't do the Visa, obviously, but they do the main accounts. Okay. Cool. So, and lastly, I will repeat, you want to do an SFTP setup, you're welcome to give us a shot, Wayne or Karita can show you how to do it. Once you've done one, I promise you, it is so easy. I was amazed how easy it is. Using RevX, am I right?
Yeah, correct.
RevX.
RevX.
Cool.
Sorry, Wayne.
Anything else?
I think that is it. I think everyone is kind of stepping out slowly.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I believe Sage is running a webinar as well on the 23rd. We should be getting invites soon, and they will be talking about 2024 as well. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and then we'll be fully released. Am I right, Craig? Craig's still there?
Craig has stepped out. Well, it's 7 minutes.
There's
past.
Susan here. Hi, Bobby.
Yes.
Yes, you are right. Susan Sambo from Sage.
Okay. Oh, yes. Great.
Hi,
Susan.
Thank you.
Hi, Natalie. Hi.
Please go for it.
Yes, we will be also, we have actually released the version 2024. We sent out the mailer, but we will have the webinar on the 23rd. So yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent. Lovely. Lekker to hear from you guys. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a lekker day, and thank you very much for joining.